Hey guys, once again welcome to a new video. So in this video we are going to discuss about triggering methods, what is triggering, and level trigger and edge trigger. So guys, triggering is a very important concept that is implemented in digital electronics or electronic circuit. We refer clock for knowing like what's the time and at what time we have to do some work or we have to complete some task. But electronic circuit or digital circuits don't have this knowledge of clock. So they need something like what you can say, they need some kind of force or some trigger at which they can work. So this trigger is provided by clock pulses. So clock pulses generally in TTL logic at 0 you find 0 to 0.8 volts, and at 1 you find 2 to 5 volts, right? So this is the TTL logic, that is transistor logic. So in basic digital circuits you find transistor logic, in which if you give 0 of clock pulse, then it is known as 0 to 0.8 volts, and if you give 1, then it is considered as between 2 to 5 volts. So on the basis of this, the circuit will react. Like if there is a flip-flop, if there is a memory storing element, then if you give 0, then it won't operate. But if you give 1, then it will start some operation. So this is known as triggering. So when you give 1, then it is known as triggering. Now this depends on you if you want the circuit to react at this positive trigger, that is 1, or you want the circuit to react at 0, that is negative trigger. So this is what we are gonna learn, that is what is positive level trigger, what is positive edge trigger, what is negative level trigger, negative edge trigger. So this is what we are gonna understand in this overall video. So now let's discuss what are the types of triggering. So these are the two main types of triggering, which are edge trigger, level trigger. Now edge trigger consists of positive edge trigger and negative edge trigger. Level trigger as well consists of positive level trigger and negative level trigger. So if we have a clock pulse, and if the triggering is happening at this point, which is at 0 point, if this is the time period of the clock pulse, and after this time period the clock pulse repeats itself, so this is t. So after every t the clock pulse repeats itself, right? So this is known as negative level trigger, and this is known as positive level trigger. Okay, so the positive level trigger is t by 2, as well as negative level trigger is t by 2. This is simply called as positive level trigger and negative level trigger. Now let's discuss about edge trigger. So if you have a clock pulse again here, and if the triggering is happening at the rising edge, that is when the clock pulse is going from 0 to 1, then this is known as, if the triggering is happening at this point, then this is known as positive edge trigger. Whereas if triggering is happening when the clock pulse is going from 1 to 0, then it is known as negative edge trigger. Got it? Now let's discuss about the symbols of positive edge trigger, negative edge trigger, and positive level trigger, negative level trigger. So simply, if you have some kind of flip-flop, and if you are just applying a clock, so this is a simple representation of positive level trigger. Whereas if you are representing something like this, so this is called as negative level trigger. So when you find a bubble over here, this is the clock input. So when you find a bubble over here, then this is known as negative level trigger. Now let's discuss about the representation of edge trigger. So if you have a flip-flop like this, and if you are applying a clock pulse here, and you have an arrow symbol over here, then this is known as positive edge trigger. So this is known as positive edge trigger. Whereas if you find a bubble in this arrow, so this is known as negative edge trigger. Okay, so this is known as negative edge trigger. This is known as negative level trigger, and this is known as positive level trigger. Okay, so this triggering concept of positive, negative edge trigger, level trigger is very important in sequential circuit, guys. I hope you got some important insights from this video. If you like this video, don't forget to share with your friends and subscribe my channel. Thank you.